Before the medals, before the world records, and long before the world called him the fastest man alive, there was a boy from rural Jamaica whose speed defied explanation. This is the story of how Usain Bolt rose from a quiet countryside to dominate global sport, redefine human limits, and eventually face the one opponent no champion can outrun, time itself.
I am number one.
This man is not capable of.
And Bolt's going to take the gold medal again.
Absolutely shattered it.
He's coming after him. He's immortal now.
Look at this. Usain Bolt is limping down the track.
Born on August 21st, 1986, in the small town of Sherwood-Content, Jamaica, Usain showed signs of extraordinary speed from an early age. Even as a child, he moved differently. His stride long, his pace effortless. While other kids played casually, Bolt raced, and he always won. It wasn't just natural talent, it was joy, passion, and an unspoken understanding that running was his destiny. Jamaica is a nation where sport is woven into the fabric of life. Cricket, football, and sprinting pulse through communities like Lifeblood. Bolt thrived in this environment. School competitions and local tracks became his playground. Coaches quickly noticed his explosive acceleration, perfect stride, and innate rhythm. By his teenage years, Bolt wasn't just a fast runner. He was a phenomenon in the making. Bolt trained with dedication, but always with joy. He inspired teammates with his energy and charisma. Even in practice, he ran as though the world were watching, and somehow, the world eventually would. His combination of speed, form, and playful confidence marked him as unique. A sprinter who could change the sport forever. The first time the world truly noticed Bolt was at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. At just 21 years old, he entered the 100 meters with quiet confidence. And then he exploded onto the global stage, crossing the finish line in 9.69 seconds. Bolt celebrated mid-race with his signature lightning bolt pose. He didn't just win, he stunned the world. Headlines called him the fastest man alive. Beijing wasn't just about the 100 meters. Bolt claimed gold in the 200 meters and the 4x100 meter relay as well. Overnight, he became a global icon. Fans celebrated not only his speed, but his personality, the grin, the gestures, the joy he radiated. He was athletic and dominating with a human touch. A sprinter who made records look easy. Bolt's dominance continued in 2009 at the World Championships in Berlin. He shattered expectations with a 100-meter world record of 9.58 seconds, followed by a 200-meter record of 19.19 seconds. His performances were breathtaking, almost unreal. Bolt wasn't just beating competitors, he was rewriting the limits of human speed. Every race became a spectacle, every finish line a historic moment. By the 2012 London Olympics, Bolt had transformed from a rising star to a global legend. He claimed gold in the 100 meters, 200 meters, and 4x100 meter relay once more. Each victory reinforced a simple truth: Bolt was untouchable. The world watched not just his speed, but the charisma he carried, his playful antics, his iconic pose, his confidence. He had become more than an athlete. He was a symbol of possibility. Bolt's impact extended beyond medals and records. He inspired millions, brought joy to fans, and defined what it meant to be a global sports icon. His energy, charm, and dedication made him relatable and admired worldwide. By 2012, Bolt had achieved the impossible. He had become untouchable on the track and unforgettable off it. And yet, beneath the triumphs and the applause, the foundation for the next chapter was quietly forming. Bolt had reached incredible heights, but the story of a legend is never static. New challenges, faster competitors, and the demands of time would soon shape the next phase of his extraordinary career. For now, the world could only marvel at his rise, a sprinting phenomenon destined for greatness. By 2013, Usain Bolt had moved beyond dominance. He had become the living embodiment of speed. The world no longer simply watched him run, it celebrated his presence. Every championship, every finish line, was a stage where history could be rewritten. Bolt was no longer just an athlete, he was a force of nature, a symbol of human potential at its absolute peak. The 2013 World Championships in Moscow set the tone for Bolt's peak era. In both the 100 meters and 200 meters, he dominated with precision and power. Each stride seemed effortless, each finish line a statement of unmatched supremacy. Spectators gasped as he pulled away from rivals with room to spare, his signature lightning bolt pose punctuating the victory. The aura of invincibility around him grew with every race. Beyond the medals and times, Bolt's charisma elevated him into a global icon. He smiled for cameras, joked with competitors, and connected with fans in ways few athletes ever could. His personality amplified his performances, making them not just competitions, but spectacles. The world adored him for speed, yes, but even more for the joy and confidence he radiated every time he stepped onto the track. The 2015 World Championships in Beijing reinforced his unrivaled status. Bolt maintained world records and repeatedly demonstrated that his dominance was no fluke. Each victory was a blend of athletic mastery and showmanship. He inspired a generation of athletes to chase their own dreams, proving that greatness could be paired with charisma. Bolt was not only setting records, he was redefining what it meant to be a superstar. In 2016, the Rio Olympics became the pinnacle of Bolt's career. He achieved the coveted triple gold, winning the 100 meters, 200 meters, and 4x100 meter relay. Each race was a masterclass in rhythm, power, and poise. Bolt's performances were flawless, his confidence absolute. Victory had become expected, yet he made it thrilling, spectacular, and memorable every single time. Off the track, Bolt's influence skyrocketed. Endorsements, sponsorships, and media appearances turned him into a global cultural icon. Magazine covers, commercials, and interviews showcased a sprinter whose impact extended far beyond sport children around the world dreamed of running like him, moving like him, and believing in the impossible. Bolt had become the face of sprinting and the embodiment of possibility itself. Media outlets celebrated his extraordinary achievements. Headlines proclaimed him the fastest man alive, an unstoppable force, and a global icon. Slow motion replays of his strides, his signature celebrations, and triumphant poses became legendary. Every victory, every record was immortalized. Bolt was no longer just winning races. He was defining an era, shaping the narrative of what athletic greatness could look like. What made Bolt unique was not just his physical prowess, but his personality. His playful antics, interactions with fans, and effortless joy on the track made him relatable and beloved worldwide. Even when he won with seemingly effortless superiority, he remained grounded, approachable, and charismatic. A rare combination that elevated him from champion to global legend. Bolt's influence was unparalleled. He became the benchmark for sprinting, the standard against which all competitors were measured. Emerging athletes studied his form, strategy, and rhythm. Fans admired not only his speed, but the energy and excitement he brought to every race. Bolt had become more than a record breaker. He was an ambassador of sport, a cultural icon, and a source of inspiration for millions. By the end of 2016, after Rio, Bolt's legend had reached its zenith. He had achieved what few could dream of: total dominance, Olympic glory, and global adoration. He had transformed sprinting into a spectacle, combining talent, joy, and charisma in ways the world had never seen. The Lightning Bolt era was at its peak, untouchable and awe-inspiring, a period in sport defined by brilliance, speed, and personality. And yet, even at the height of his dominance, the quiet inevitability of change lingered in the background. Competitors were training harder, faster, hungrier. The sport itself continued to evolve. Bolt's supremacy seemed eternal, but every legend faces the day when speed slows and the next generation rises. For now, though, the world could only marvel at an era defined by one man: Usain Bolt, the unstoppable force, racing history itself. By 2017, the world had long celebrated Usain Bolt as the fastest man alive, a sprinter whose dominance seemed untouchable. But every legend faces the inevitability of change. In London at the 2017 World Championships, Bolt's first signs of vulnerability appeared. Races that once seemed effortless. For the first time, he faced defeat at the very stage where he had long been unbeatable. New challenges emerged, hungry and faster than ever. Justin Gatlin, seasoned and relentless, pushed Bolt to his limits. Christian Coleman, young and lightning quick, represented the next generation of sprinting prodigies. Where Bolt once left competitors in his wake, now each finish line became a test. He could no longer rely solely on natural talent. The competition had caught up, and the margin for error had shrunk. Alongside rising rivals, Bolt's body began to feel the toll of a decade at the pinnacle of sprinting. Minor injuries slowed him, recovery took longer, and the demands of elite competition weighed heavily. Muscles that once responded instinctively now needed careful management. Bolt had achieved greatness, but maintaining it was no longer effortless. By the end of 2017, Bolt faced a decision few athletes are able to make. He could continue to compete, risking a prolonged decline, or step away while still a legend. For Bolt, retirement was not a concession, it was a calculated choice. He chose to preserve his legacy, to exit the track gracefully, and to avoid the painful erosion of a career built on brilliance and invincibility. His final races became moments of reflection and reverence. As Bolt approached finish lines, slightly slower yet still formidable, there was a sense of closure. The roar of the crowd, the flashes of cameras, and the applause were no longer merely for the athlete. They were for the legend who had defined an era. Even in defeat, Bolt remained dignified, his presence commanding respect and admiration. Footage from these competitions shows Bolt in quiet introspection, younger competitors overtaking him, slow-motion finishes that reveal his humanity, and moments at the starting blocks where the weight of his journey seemed to settle upon him. The fall of a legend is not always dramatic. It can be subtle, inevitable, and profoundly human. Bolt's story at this stage was a testament to awareness and wisdom. Retiring after the 2017 to 2018 season, Bolt left the sport with unmatched achievements: 8 Olympic gold medals, 11 World Championship titles, and multiple world records. He left while still revered, choosing the perfect moment to bow out. His legacy remained untarnished, immortalized in the annals of sprinting history. His exit was graceful, deliberate, and a reminder that even the greatest athletes must respect the limits of time and competition. Bolt's departure also symbolized the natural cycle of sport. Gatlin, Coleman, and the new generation rose to challenge the boundaries he had set. Bolt's influence persisted, inspiring not only aspiring sprinters, but the world at large. His decline was not a tragedy. It was a chapter in a story of brilliance, a carefully measured conclusion to a career defined by speed, joy, and charisma. The narrative of Bolt's fall is ultimately one of wisdom and foresight. He understood the evolving landscape of sprinting, acknowledged the rise of new talent, and chose to preserve his legend rather than chase fleeting victories. In doing so, he left the track not diminished, but immortal, a symbol of what greatness looks like when paired with insight and grace. Reflecting on his career, Bolt's story is a lesson in legacy. Even lightning eventually runs out of storm, yet what matters is how it strikes while it burns. Bright Bolt raced history, inspired millions, and left a mark that no emerging competitor could erase. His fall was inevitable, but his exit was perfect, timely, graceful, and unforgettable. Usain Bolt retired as a champion, a record breaker, and a legend whose story will inspire generations for decades to come.